Hello, my dear friend, Lady Anne Welsh. You are, you are an incredible woman. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are catching us live now, and those of you who are going to catch us with a cup of coffee afterwards, please do check out this fantastic lady. Check her out on Instagram. Check her out on LinkedIn. Check her out. I mean, are you still all over the the subways in London? Are you still
I
there?
know, I probably will be again
Oh my gosh.
with our new podcast coming out. Yes, so very
Oh,
soon.
Lady Ann Welsh, she's incredible. We've come a way, haven't we? Yes, it's since 2021.
Yes, we've come a long way since I think during the pandemic times. And
Yes.
you and I connected, and I had a conversation with yourself, and I was just so mind blown away by you and your
Oh,
work. Yes.
oh, thank you. Well, I was blown away by you when I got the contact, and I said, "Who on earth is this amazing woman, and why on earth does she think she wants to talk to me?" And since then, you have been a supporter of
Yeah.
what I do. And you were so kindly my headline sponsor. Not sponsor,
Yeah.
no,
No. Yes.
headline speaker at the House of Lords in March this year
Absolutely.
for
Absolutely.
mastering change. And you were just so inspirational. So tell us about yourself, Lady Anne Rash.
Well, thank you so much, Benny. And honestly, I do appreciate you. You are someone I remember when I started my conversation, my podcast, and this was during lockdown. So I was looking and I was only looking for inspirational people that would be on there because my conversation is all about living with pain and finding your joy. And I came across your page and I thought, who is doing diversity, inclusion, and really vocally talking about it, which is something I think in my days growing up, I never found anyone who was very much actively talking about it. And I saw you and I thought, I have to reach out to you because I need to learn and understand more about your work and how you're doing it, what got you started. Because, to do something like that, you need to have a trigger point. Something must have got you started to
Yes,
want to do it. And
yes,
your story just blew me away because I thought, I wish more of us could listen to your story and understand that even though life might have its challenges and difficulties, we can turn those around and we can use those our challenges to our advantage and also use it to help others. And this is something you've gone on to build this great platform of diversity, talking about it in a place you started in Cardiff, in Wales. And I thought,
yes,
wow, in such a small place that, will not be talked about there because you won't think there'll be a lot of diverse community out there. But
yes.
you have championed it on and you've gone on to win many awards. So speaking to you was something that just blew my mind away. And
Oh,
I
thank you.
really
But
thank you for that opportunity.
thank you. And you touched on something, and it's this that yes, you might have seen me because maybe I have more of a knack of getting visibility. But there are so many stalwarts here in Wales and in Cardiff and in the southwest of Wales that are doing incredible work for diversity and inclusion. And that's what my book, and I know people say, "Hey, plugging it." Well, it's my book, so I'm plugging it. It's my it's my LinkedIn live. No apologies. My new book, Master in Diversity, we go together or not at all. In this book, that's one of the themes in it. It's showcasing these captains that have gone way before me in getting the message out, in
Mm.
campaigning for people to be heard, for representation, not just, and then that's the other thing. It's not just about, black and white. It's about all the many characteristics. It's about disability. It's about, sexual orientation. It's about religious freedom. It's about socioeconomic exclusions, because we tend to overlook that. And so it's all the many intersections. Because for yourself, and if you would just, I know, but in terms of your family makeup and your heritage, would you share that with the audience so they realize that you sitting there represent and so many different sectors?
Yeah, so you asked a nice question at the beginning, and it's like, and who are you? That's a
Yes,
very difficult question to answer, because you never know who you are. And I feel like as we get older, as we go through life, like who you are, the definition tends to change.
yes,
When I was younger, I was this person who was fighting a disability, trying to get through life. I was living
yes,
with my parents and just struggling with that, struggling with my own illness. If you ask me what makes me who I am, where is my background? I'm originally from Nigeria. Uh,
yes.
I was actually born in Nigeria, even though most all my siblings were all born in the United Kingdom. I was born in Nigeria. I was born in the
Wow.
northern part of Nigeria, and I remember growing up, always asking my mom, why was it me that was born in Nigeria? But you look back at history and you see there was a reason for things to happen a certain way.
Yes,
There was a reason why my calling was to be born out there in Nigeria, because me being born out in Nigeria gave me that understanding of the continent Africa,
yes,
and the specifically country Nigeria. It gave me a reason that when I left the investment banking world, that calling that I needed to go back to, rediscover, where is this continent, where is this country, where is this
yes,
place where I'm born. So I was born there. My parents, my mom is a primary school teacher, and my dad is was an accountant. He's now retired. He lives in Abuja. He's now an author, writing books about how to change the world. So even when I wrote my book, he always said to me, "You must have got this gift from me about writing." So he was a very, very successful accountant, where he worked in various ministry office, like Ministry of Defense, and he had a very high senior position.
yes.
And I got my determination from both my parents. My parents were
Awesome.
very, very driven people. My mom came to United Kingdom in the 70s, and she worked her way up to become a primary school teacher. And in those days, she always said to us, it was very, very difficult as someone
Yes,
who's just come from Africa, and to come out here. She came with my
yes,
dad, and my dad didn't want to stay here. He stayed here did all his degrees, but he didn't feel that the
yes,
country was suited for him.
yes,
And we said, fair enough, it's understandable. Some people is so. Some people, that my mom wanted to finish her degree here.
yes,
So my dad went back to Nigeria. My mom stayed out here, and she was looking after the four of us, because we were now back in the United Kingdom with my
yes,
parents. My parents are very hardworking. They always strive for the best.
yes,
Um, and we always think the best is that you're financially successful
yes,
or this. But for my mom and my dad, the best always meant that you're living your best life,
yes,
not that your financial pocket or your bank account is so full.
yes,
You're living your best life, and it's something I'm also trying to feed onto my children. It's just not the bank
yes.
account we should worry about. We should also worry about living our best life, because at the end of the day, our time here is limited. But it's what you do in between. There is that your journey.
Wow.
That is what
Woo. It's live. Something went crashing. Let's get going.
yeah.
That's what happens on live, guys. If you were sleeping, wake up.
Wake up,
Just,
guys.
just as Anne said, you don't know what's going to happen.
What's happening?
You gotta live your best life.
Live your best life, because you never know what's going to happen right any minute. That was so funny. Yes.
Let's go. Keep going.
So to go back to my journey. So my mom was always determined. She wanted to be a primary school teacher, and she needed to understand the process to get there. My father after, because I said I was born in Nigeria, but we came back to United Kingdom for my dad to do his course. And while we were in United Kingdom, my mom had two other babies, my two junior sisters. And my dad then decided to go back. He said, I've stayed here for a couple of years, but I really think my calling is back home in Nigeria. So he went back. My mom stayed out here with us. And we, she was just looking at ways to, just thinking about ways to better herself,
Yes.
because she got married very young, so she wanted ways to better herself through
Yes.
doing the degree. Because when my father was here, the whole focus was on him getting his degree. But now my father now has gone to go see if he could get a better job out in Nigeria. My mom was now
Yes.
saying, okay, now you've
Yes.
gone, now you're gone. Let me now better myself. Let me see
Ah,
if I could enroll myself into different degrees. Let me see what I could do. So she had to do multiple jobs to be able to look after us, even though my dad was helping out a lot. But still, living here by yourself was so challenging. So she had
yes.
to do multiple jobs, and she had to also go to school. But she was so determined that she had her vision of what she wanted to do. She always wanted to be a primary school teacher. So she worked herself so hard to get herself there. And she was a primary school teacher.
Go on. I'm just spotlighting
Okay.
you. Yes.
All right. So
Out
she
here
was a
in the
primary school.
spotlight, and
Okay. So she was a primary school teacher for at least 35 years before she retired. But in our journey was very fascinating, because we lived in the UK to about 10 years. When I was 10, my dad then said, I think it's time that the kids come back to Nigeria so they could
wow.
understand more about their culture.
Yes.
At the
Yes.
time, my mom didn't quite get what he meant, understand their culture. She felt that she was doing a great job with us here, that why do you need them back in Africa, in Nigeria? He just felt like it was so important that we understood a little bit of our culture, heritage, who we are, where we're from, and what makes us who we are. And my mom then agreed. But unfortunately, that came with a tragedy, because we were four of us. And my mom, we had my brother who was older than I was, and myself, my two other sisters. So we've always been four musketeers.
Oh,
And we went back to Nigeria, and sadly, a year later, my brother took ill and he became very sick. But I think because and I always say this to people, because I have sickle cell, the focus was always on me, on my illness. So people always wanted to know why, if I was sick, people would know, they knew how to take care of me. But when it happened to my brother, I think my father was just kind of confused. Oh, he's just going to go away. It's just one of these things. We were all confused at what was going on with him. But it happened so quickly that one morning he passed away.
oh my goodness. I'm sorry.
And we woke up, we were just, absolutely confused. I was about 11 at the time, and I was absolutely confused, like, where's he? What's happened to him? And for my mother, who was out in England, she just felt, what do you mean? He just was sick, and he was sick for a week. You would think we thought he was getting better, because they've been brought him back home to keep the recovery. He was in hospital for a little bit, but they brought him back home. Doctor said he was getting better. But for him now to pass away, that was a huge toll on the family. And it was more huge toll because there was this boy who's absolutely healthy, had never been in hospital. There is him passing away. And there's a girl who was always in hospital, because I was diagnosed with sickle cell at the age of 3. It
Wow.
started officially at 6 months old. So there is this girl who's always sick, and life has just left her. She's still here. And the thing as well, in Africa, in Nigeria at the time, medical care was something you had to pay for. It was a lot of money. If you want to go to hospital, it wasn't like we had the NHS. You had to pay for it down for. So I think it got my parents thinking, why this perfectly healthy boy? Why is this boy taken away? And
Yes.
why is this girl who's like, they love me dearly, because they would do anything for me. I never lacked as a child. But
Yes.
at the same time, they had this question, why is this girl who is very, very fragile, why is she still here? So my father just, I could see this question, and all my relatives, they came to the house that day. He passed on, and I could see the whole relative, everyone kept staring at me, thinking, what's wrong with this girl? Why is she still here? She's been the one who's been in and out, because that was the mindset. In and
Yes.
out of hospital. Why is she still here? And this guy who was absolutely perfect passed away.
But it's
So,
purpose and purpose. And I'm not saying that there was no purpose for that your brother's life, but what I'm saying is
mm,
you have been hanging on since 3 years old, and
yes.
look at what purpose you have walked into and that you have carried. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to check out Anne Welsh, Lady Anne, on Instagram. You got to see the work she does. You've got to see the circle she moves in. You've got to see the philanthropy that she does. You no, honestly, there is purpose all over you,
Then
and
I
and
think,
that is what has kept you, and that's what, and and it would, and the thing is, you did not let your purpose down, because we choose whether we're going to walk in our purpose as well, and you have chosen to walk in your purpose. You could have chosen otherwise. No, please go on, because you are just highlighting one of the things that people don't very readily actually become aware of, and that is that there are hidden, invisible disabilities, invisible exclusions, invisible challenges. And look at you. If anyone would pass you on the street, they would have no idea of your journey. So keep sharing that with us. That is incredible. Thank you. Keep going.
oh, thank you, Danny.
Yes.
No, absolutely. So my brother passed away, and that's really gave us that question.
Yes.
Luckily, I had to question myself as well, because my illness took a downward spiral in terms of, I got really bad infection on my right arm, and my father tried everything, because we were still living in Nigeria at the time. So he's just lost his son, and there is this girl who's now got something very bad. So he tried everything for 2 weeks. The arm was still swollen. No one knew. He took me to all the doctors, because we were living in a particular part of Nigeria at the time. No, the doctors just didn't know. We would just give her antibiotics and this would go away. But no one just knew what was going on. So the arm kept swelling. Every day was getting bigger and bigger. I couldn't write, and more importantly, it was my right arm.
Wow.
I write with this, and my father said to me one day, "You have to learn to start writing with your left hand, because you might have to lose your right arm, because if this is not going away, we've tried everything, we've gone to doctors, and nothing seemed to work." I thought, gosh, and it wasn't like it was hurting; it was just felt like I broke my bone, and
Yes.
it's only when you touch it that I feel the pain. But it wasn't like
Yes.
a constant sickle cell pain. But it was only when you touched it that I felt the pain. So my father kept asking me, "Did you fall? Did anyone push you? Did anyone beat you in school? What happened?" I said, "I don't, nothing. No one has ever touched me. No one's." And it's like, gosh, this is becoming too weird. How do we solve this challenging problem? 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by. The arm kept going, going, going. And it said, "Oh my goodness, we might have to come to making that difficult decision where we might have to lose the arm, because we don't know what it is, and we don't want it to go to the rest of the body." So gosh, I thought
Wow.
about losing my right arm and then having to start again to learn how to write with my left hand.
Wow.
I thought, oh gosh. Then my mom then called someone in another part of Nigeria, I think in the central part of Nigeria, and said to the person, a doctor, said, "This is what my daughter's going to. Please, could you help her? What can we do? I'm really concerned that we don't want to lose her arm." And the lady said, "Oh, bring her now. You have to bring her now, because if it's and she asked, "How long has this been going on for?" And my mom told her, "This has been going on for a while." And she said, "You better get her now." So my dad,
Wow.
she called my father and said, "Look, tomorrow get her ready, get her or pack her things. She'll be gone for 3 weeks. She has to go to that lady's house. She has to go stay there, and they need to treat her arm." Okay.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm a little kid. I was about 11. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I have to go to someone's house I've never been to before. Okay, but anyway, if my arm would get better, that would be something. Rather than them cutting my arm off, it seems better. So I went to this lady, and the first thing they did, they took me to an X-ray room, and they found all it was that my sickle cell was so infected that it started eating my bones.
Ooh.
And that was all it was, is that my bones had just been eaten. And by the time I got there, it was just a shred of bone left. The
Oh
lady,
my
like,
gosh.
oh my God. It's so she said, "I can save you. You are so lucky." I'm like, okay. But the
Wow.
downside came is that I had to take injections every day. I had to take 15 injections every day because she had to pump the antibiotics in me to help the bone try and heal itself. Then she had to put the POP. So it's almost like I broke my bone when I had
Wow.
all the treatments you do for
Yeah.
broken bone.
Wow.
And luckily I got recovered for that. But
Wow.
again, that
Can I
defined
ask you, because while you were talking, I realized that something we are assuming is that people know what sickle cell is. For the audience, can you just explain what sickle cell is, please?
That's true. A lot of people
Yes.
ask me that question, what is sickle cell? Because it's not something that is commonly known. We know about what
Yes.
cancer is, or diabetes, or high blood pressure. Because sickle cell is a disease that affects mostly people who are African heritage. And the
Yes.
reason it affects people mostly from African heritage is to do with malaria. So when I lived in
Wow.
Nigeria, I rarely suffered from malaria. And even if you do, then the chances of you living then becomes limited. So people assuming that probably people with sickle cell was a way of preventing themselves and preventing them from getting malaria. So it's a genetic blood disorder where you get it from both parents. So both parents have bad blood. So my parents were both genetically had one genetically bad blood, which is AS. And when the two S's merge, instead of the two S's that both parents had merges, that forms sickle cell.
Wow.
And if you have sickle cell, it's a genetic blood disorder, which happens predominantly when you change in temperature, when you're stressed, when you're not eating properly, when you're pregnant, or all kinds of things in life.
Mhm.
And it is where the blood changes shape. So everyone asks me, why is it so painful? It is so painful because when the blood changes shape, our normal red blood cell is a circle shape, nice full moon. But when the blood changes shape, because it's going through the sickle cell process, it becomes a concave, very shapy like a moon, half moon.
Oh, you're right.
And it becomes very sticky as well. So
Yeah.
this is why people with sickle cell, we tend to drink a lot of water to have the blood
Yeah.
flush itself through. And when it's sticky and that shape, they join up together. When they're flowing through the blood, they join up together and they
Mm.
stick together and form like lumps inside your vein.
Ah.
Then that prevents normal blood from getting to the other parts of the blood because it's now caused a blockage. So,
Ah.
when you have a thing, there's a blockage, you have to use bleach. We use
Yes.
water to try and flush out the blockage.
Right.
Most time that blockage does not go, so the blood then cannot get to other parts of the body. This is why people with sickle cell tend to suffer from ulcers, stroke, um, extreme pain. I told you when I had this thing on my arm, I
Yes.
didn't really notice the pain because with sickle cell, it's an extreme pain of someone using a hammer to keep hitting your arm or hitting any part of your bone. It is so painful because the back part of the body is now deprived of oxygen because there's no
Wow.
blood flowing through. So that's where
Wow.
the pain comes from. So this is
Wow.
what sickle cell is all about. So sickle cell is causes emotional, mental, and physical pain.
So all of that you were dealing with as a child. And how did that affect you within, because we talk about bullying in schools, we talk about also the teachers not being equipped to handle children that come to school with different challenges. Did you have a good experience in school? Were people sensitive to it, or did you silently suffer because you didn't want to draw attention to it?
I think this is where I say my life is filled with purpose. I look at it as I'm having this challenge. I can't even think about the pain around me. I
Mm.
only have to think about the pain I'm immediately dealing with right now. So most of the time, I would come to school and friends would tell me, "Look, Anne, we can't be your friends anymore because you've been sick. We don't know. You're so unpredictable." I learned the word unpredictable since I've been a little girl, because
Ah,
people would say to me, "You're so unpredictable. Today you're here, tomorrow you're not here." Like, what do you mean by that? I'm saying I'm here. It's just I was in hospital. No, well, you're so unpredictable. We don't want to be around because we need consistency in our lives. So I've never been that predictable friend that you could make plans with. I've never been that friend that you could, go on lunch dates with, because guess what? Anne is that unpredictable girl. So the good thing
wow,
about it, my father understood I had this challenge. So what he did, he said to my sisters, "Guys, unfortunately, we have a weak link in this family. This is Anne. She has this illness. And because of that, you guys can have friends in school, but you are her support system. She can never lack." And my sisters were like, "What do you mean she can never lack?" Well, my father then said, "Well, you can't bring friends back home because she has no friends. I have no friends. Nobody ever wanted to talk to me. People
wow.
thought I was too skinny. People thought I was awkward, or I never, because I could never connect with human beings because my
Mm.
pain was so much that connecting to people took another level, took a lot of pain out of me. So if people try to say things to me, I try and just be in my own little silo and just be myself, trying to deal with my pain, because sometimes I will have crisis every day. So my body was dealing with its own challenges. So
You
making
know,
friends took a lot of pain.
I have to think. You didn't have any friends. You didn't have much to say. You were awkward looking. Well, it's like in your face. Look at that's what you need to say now, in your face, all of you, because look at you now. How many million plus followers on Instagram? I mean, you are relating to so many people from all sectors and at all levels. You have something to say. You have a podcast with view. What's your latest viewership on your podcast, Anne?
So my podcast goes from, if I release one, it could go on to 50K views to 1 million views. Just that.
So he's in your face.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. That
Incredible.
this is why I tell a lot of people. I tell people that do not define yourself
Mm,
by your journey.
mm,
Because sometimes when we go through deep pain, even with life circumstances, with the pain of the economy, the pain of losing your job, the pain of living a loved one, we need to look at life in a holistic way.
yeah.
And this is the only way we could actually understand what life is truly about and what life is trying to tell us. Like, a lot of times, even myself, sometimes I might wake up and feel like, "Oh my goodness, not today." I feel down. But when I think of the holisticness of my life,
Yes.
it takes away my downtime, because I can't feel down because of today. I have to look at it in a whole thing. I am blessed. I have
Yes.
kids. A lot of people said to me, "You will never have kids because you have sickle cell. That don't even bother trying." Like, that was the word I had. I was thinking, all my life I've dreamt of having kids. I've dreamt of holding my babies, and you're now telling me not to even have these dreams anymore.
Mm,
So you have to look at it on that holistically. A lot of people told me by the age of 21, people with sickle cell die.
mm.
Don't even try. Enjoy your life now. Don't my father, poor thing, because he didn't know much about it. He said to me, "You know what? You could just be a tailor, whatever. You could just get any job, because he was just trying to make me live my best life. He
Yes.
never pushed me academically, even if I didn't do well in school. One time I got my A levels, it was ungraded. And my father was like, don't worry. And I asked him one time, why did you say don't worry? He said, well, they say people with sickle cell live to the age of 21. What am I trying to worry
That is what I tell people. I tell people sometimes some of the worst advice you can take are from the people who love you because
Yeah.
they want to protect you. But that's not what needs to happen.
The protection, they could give you so much protection in the same way you're like, I got ungraded. I'm not worthy of anything. My father said, don't worry, it's not a big deal. You could go to this and try and do X, Y, Z. I'm thinking, oh gosh, no. But you know what? I had to reverse that
Yes.
language.
Yes.
And that reverse came one day in hospital. So sick, and I said to because this illness was always, all the time. I was always sick, and I thought to myself, this is not normal. Why am I always sick? What is wrong with me? And the doctors would say, oh, you know what? If you do this, if you keep doing this, we don't think we could save you anymore. You can't keep being sick. But I said to the doctor, I'm doing everything possible. But then one day I couldn't take it anymore, and that led to serious depression. I started thinking to myself, what is my purpose here? Why am I going through all this pain? This is not healthy. Because, when you go to hospital, you are probed by needles, you're given morphine, which has a massive side effect. You're given all this oxygen. You are treated like a dead person because you're almost dead because of the pain you're going through. And I thought to myself, what is the purpose? Why am I going through all this pain? This is just not normal. This is the first time I sat in bed and I started thinking about, what is my purpose? I better tell my doctor, if you can't keep me going, just end it. And I did actually. The next day the doctor came and I told my doctor in front of all the people he came with for the ward round. And I said to him, look, doctor, I've made my mind up. I don't think I want to go through this pain anymore. It is too painful.
How old were you?
So I was at the time, no. So this was this real one was when I was 25.
Wow.
And my doctor looked at me. He didn't say anything. He just kept treating me, checking me, nothing. I was just not recovering. HB level still down. Everything still in pain. He just did his check with his team and he left. I said, so typical. See, this is really why I do not want to be in this place. There's no hope. What am I doing? Why am I even here? He came back 30 minutes later when he finished his ward round and he said to himself, he sat down on my bed. I said, gosh, doctor, just let me be. I've made my mind up and I'm just going to find a way to really stop this pain because it's getting too much. And he said, you know what, and everyone goes through pain. And he started telling me about his own journey, about his own illness. And that I should not see the world that way. I should see the world as a beautiful, bigger place. That when I'm in pain, yes, I might be in a lot of pain. But when I'm not in pain, I should try and find what makes me happy and focus on that energy. So rather than focusing all my energy on the bad times, try and find when I'm well, use it and enjoy it and do what I love. That didn't make sense until I sent a message to my mentor. And my mentor sent me a very nice message back saying, and dear, everyone goes through challenging circumstances in their lives. Some people's pain might be what you're going through, and some people's pain is that they don't even know where their next meal is coming from. So people just all their family members. Some people just giving me all list of all the different challenges other people that might be going through that was more than my own pain. And bad thing with chronic illness is that you can't see other people's pain because you're in
Yes.
so much pain yourself that you
Yes.
numb yourself out from the
Yes.
world. You
Yes.
don't even know the world exists. You don't even know there's other people. I didn't even
Mm.
know my mom had her own challenges. I didn't know my sisters had their own challenges.
Wow.
Because all their focus was always on me and preparing for that
Mm.
moment when they had to say goodbye to me. So they never had expressed to me the challenging world they were faced. I never knew my sister had challenges with school sometimes because everybody was always focused on me.
Yeah. So can
So
I ask you, Anne, when did that shift take place? Because I now know, and we, that you are doing incredible work looking outside of your pain and helping others with pain. When did that shift take place? Was
I
it
think
that occasion?
yeah, it's after that conversation.
Yes.
Initially, I thought to myself, this person is just having a laugh. They don't understand what I've been through.
Yes.
And that this person has been to prison for many years and has had their own share. They were falsely accused. They've been through challenging times themselves.
Ah,
So they knew where they were coming from because they were falsely accused and done put in prison for nothing.
wow.
Went on to become the president of Nigeria. So you could imagine their status from being in prison to becoming a world leader. So
Wow.
this person had so much to that they had to tell me. The shift came when I think I went back to bed because I was in hospital when this person sent me this. The shift came when when you're in bed and you just go straight, you fall asleep, and you just have that aha moment where you
Yes.
say, actually, I have my mother, I have my
Mm.
father, I have my husband who would
Mm.
do anything for me. I have my family who I could call at any time. Most people, even in hospital, don't even have anyone to call on. My mom would
Mm.
come in the morning, first in the morning, come shower me in the morning. After school, she would come right after work, come look
Mm.
after me. My sisters would ask me, I could eat a la carte any kind of food in hospital because they knew I didn't like to eat a hot meal. I was the only one doing this. My doctors would always make sure I had the best things, anything I wanted. And I thought, what am
Mm.
I complaining about? Yes,
Mm.
a sickle cell is painful.
Yes.
Yes, my life is not going anywhere. Yes. You could apply for jobs and people look at you and when they tell you when were you last employed, you're like, oh, I have never been employed. They say, okay, goodbye. You're not qualified. Yes, you might not see hope in your life, but there's hope with people around you. So that's when my life changed. Because there
Wow.
was no hope. I didn't have a job. Like, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a plan. Most people have plans. I never had that. But I
Mm.
had plans through my family. My
Mm.
family helped me create those plans because when I started appreciating the good times, I started making plans in those good moments and doing things that were suited for me. And
Mm.
this is when I got my job at an investment bank. And this is when I found, navigated my path to understand that if you are getting a job, get a job that suits you, not suits just them.
Yes. So tell me about that. Tell me, so you had a stint in the corporate world, and we know that that can be, it can be a minefield. So
Yeah.
tell me about that, how, your experience with
And
your, let's call it disability, your invisible disability, and, how did that work out for you?
it honestly, it worked wonders because I think
Awesome.
I learned the haha moments. I learned to start reaching out to people. I realized that the help cannot just be my family alone. I needed
Mm.
to extend it. So I reached out in university because I thought I did all my university later. University, my mom's reached out to the disabilities section and
Yes.
said to them that look, she's always missing university, so she needs someone to be her note taker. So
Mm.
that helped me. That shift my missing out. That shift my grades from
Mm.
someone who was now seen as a failure to someone who, because now I had someone taking my notes and that person would bring it to my house. I could read what was being taught in class.
Mm.
And even if I didn't understand, I could go back. The teacher would spend some time. They were happy to give me 15 minutes extra time to help me with those work and help me understand what I missed.
Wow.
So I shifted that narrative by asking
Wow.
not just my community, the government questions. I started asking that question. What can you do for me to help me? And I say to people, when you're stuck, you're never alone. There is a whole world of people. You just need to learn to ask that question. So when I
Yes.
started the university, they gave me that student, disability student, and now helper who was
Yes.
able to help me at Lehman Brothers. Because before I got to Lehman Brothers, I went into I did my master's, and during my master's, I understood that I need to find ways to get into the corporate world. My vision was I wanted to work for an investment bank. I was
Wow.
not going to limit myself because of my illness or what people have told me that you can't do this. I said I can, but I
Yes.
just need to find a way to make my can possible. Because
Oh,
you can wish it, but you need to make it possible.
I'll say that again. And I just needed to find my way, the way to make my can possible. Are we hearing this, guys? Oh, go on. Go on.
So I started looking at different options. I went to the student helper at my university, which was so good. And I still talk about them because I am an advocate for my university, Bayes Business School, formerly CAS. I went to them and said, look, guys, I didn't do this master here just to do a master. I did this
Mm,
master because I want to work in investment banking.
mm.
And they introduced me to the Disability Inclusive Diversity Program for
Whew.
the. So someone had so kindly set up this program, and this program was targeting not just blacks, but people, because it was people
Ah,
of all different nationality, all
yes,
different colors, everyone. But it was people
yes,
who had a disability but also had an ability.
yes.
So these
Oh,
are things we need to understand. You have a disability, but you have an ability. You
oh.
might be restricted on your chair, not being able to do things, but it doesn't mean your mind is also restricted. So
Mm.
this was an amazing program, and I keep talking about it because my base business school gave me that platform,
Wow.
and I applied, and they immediately took me, gave me opportunity in all the investment bank. I just had to pick whichever one I wanted because
Wow.
I was so qualified in the sense that I knew what I was doing.
Yes.
But they saw where the gap was that
Mm,
this girl would miss out on work some days and they
mm.
might have important clients. So how do we work with her? They
Wow.
found a body to work alongside me. So
Wow.
if there was an emergency, that body had access to my computer and could get
Wow.
my files and still give the clients the 100% the clients deserve. So
Wow.
with all this,
That's
finding out
incredible.
things, reaching out to community, talking, that helped me.
That is incredible. You know, that and that is what this conference, Mastering Diversity, in 2023 here in Cardiff is all about, and exactly what you just said, taking into consideration all the very many people and factors that may comprise this diversity and inclusion agenda, focus, mission, whatever we want to call it. Because I just, to me, it's a moving target, and we've got to keep learning about it. But what I am impressed by Bayes, it's Bayes University, yes,
Yes.
business school, where they were ready for you, they
Yes.
supported you. And then with the investment bank, the way they actually put things in place, that's a dream situation, and we want to have more of that. But it's good to highlight, because sometimes we just see all the bad things that are happening, and we don't realize that it's happening in some places. And when we air things like this, we showcase people like you who have benefited from that kind of consideration. I'm hoping that it will have that ripple effect where other organizations will see this, share it, lady, and it's going to go to a million. Other organizations will see this and get jealous. I know Deloitte, they're doing a lot of good work. They're actually also going to be delivering at the conference in September. And there is Admiral here, local to us here in Wales. There's Higher Tech. There's so many organizations. Delcion, Microsoft. They're going to be also be there. I can't there are so many guys. If I've forgotten to call your name, please don't shout at me. I'm 60.
Going on
But there's
50.
so many, yeah, but there's so many names, and I've paid homage to them in the book that are doing it, but we want more of them to jump on it and let this happen. So we're winding down now. We're coming into the last 15 minutes of the we thought when we started, you're like, you said, Bernie, how much do I really have? I didn't ask. And I said, an hour. I said, you're up for it? And Anne said, yes, I'm up for it. And yes, she is. So we're in the final 15 minutes now. You're born ready, Anne. We're in the final 15 minutes now. And I just like you to just continue in that vein. You're bringing us up now because, oh God, you've taken us on a journey from the beginning right up. You're bringing us up to now, Anne. So share for me now. You got that that platform, and here you are now. Share how you managed to come to this point, and what's next for Lady Anne, and what's next for Painless Universal.
Oh my goodness, there's just a lot in the pipeline, and I'm so excited that I'm given this opportunity, and I can't thank I'll thank myself for being determined to keep going.
Exactly.
Because you know what? It takes a lot sometimes as a sick person just to keep going and keep motivating yourself. And I think that this sickness taught me that determination that everyone is going through pain.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me a business purpose to help others who are dealing with their own pain and help them along their pain journey. Because I also say my pain journey was also helped by a girl in hospital who was next to me. And I said to her, I can't walk. If the doctor's about to discharge me, I can't walk for more than this amount of yards. I can't even walk because I'm still in pain. You know, I was still discharged. I was on the oral morphine and I was on the morphine tablet to take home. So you can imagine the still pain I was feeling, but I just felt like I was not getting better in hospital and I needed to be at home. And I said to the girl, well, I can't walk. I don't, even if I use a wheelchair to get to my car now, when I get home, I don't have a wheelchair. The girl asked me, have you heard about disability living allowance? And I thought to her, what do you mean about disability living allowance? She said, with that, even if you don't need the financial help, you could get access to a disability badge, which will help you when you're going through pain, and that will reduce your pain crisis because you could park a lot closer, especially in one of the trigger points of sickle cell is the change of weather. So this I said, thank you so much for helping me this. It took me a while to apply for it because no one understood. The government themselves did not understand what an invisible illness is, which is something they're starting to understand more, what invisible, because I went for the question and the lady looked at me and said, you look so well. I'm like, yeah, today I look well, but tomorrow I might not. So because we have this fluctuation of belt, it doesn't show on the outside, but someone did an autopsy of someone with sickle cell, and they said we look like people who've been shot multiple times when they did the autopsy. But this girl gave me an inkling that when we share our problems, we get solution much better. Yes. And this is where Painless Universal came. I said, I wrote the book first called Painless, Living with Pain, Finding Your Joy, because I wanted people to understand my own journey of how I've lived with pain, but how I've managed. I didn't want to stay in the pain side. I wanted to emphasize that you can live in all your pain journey, but at the same time, you can still find your joy.
Is this on Amazon?
This book is on Amazon. So
I'm going to get it.
Welsh, and it says Painless. Painless, and it's living with pain and finding your joy. So I wrote my book, and because of at the time, after I wrote this book in 2019, it was endorsed by the Director General of WHO. It was endorsed by a former president of Nigeria. It was endorsed by, the former Archbishop of York. It was just endorsed by so many people. I wrote to them, and they just could not believe the joy that they felt by reading my book because of the honesty and talking about the sickle cell, which is something that never got a spotlight. You talk about sickle cell, people just felt like it is the typical black disease. Why should
Yeah.
we focus on it?
Yeah.
There was no investment. I went on to chair a sickle cell society. I didn't see any investment coming into sickle cell society. There was just a lot
Yes.
of pain from it. But I said, I'm not going to let this defeat me. Let me turn the pain into joy. So I took the book, but I thought the book was not enough. And this is
Yes.
where Painless Universal started. So
Yes.
Painless Universal is an online platform where we amplify messages. So, for example, if anyone has a message, for example, we will be releasing a message for the GCSE result, we amplify messages so people better understand there is hope. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You might have not have done well in your school results. You might not have a good relationship. But what we focus on is telling you that there is hope. We share inspirational conversations, we share the news, and we make it in baby language so people readily understand what is this message of this news. We share positive messages, we
Mm-hmm.
have conversations with
Yes.
people like yourself, and we don't have conversation with just anyone, but we want change maker, people who are changing their field. It might be a trans, it might be a black, it might be a white, it might be
Yes.
mental ill person, anyone who's lived with any kind of challenges
Mm-hmm.
slash pain.
Mm-hmm.
We want to share their story and
Mm-hmm.
let others know that he has lived through it, and
Yes.
this is what he did to
Yeah.
get the better
So
part
I
of
love
it.
what you say, and that came obviously from when your mentor said to you, everybody has different kinds of pain that they live with, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you actually did not forget that, and you've actually wove that into your what you're doing now, because you are right. When I got the communication about you wanting me to come on, and I did check who you were. I thought, but I am not going through any pain. And then I got to realize what you were all about in terms of, pain, the challenges, the diversity issues. Those things are pain points. Yes. All the
Yes.
things that we are dealing with, people deal with different types of pain. And for you to have grasped that in that moment, that was a defining moment in your life and in your purpose. It got you onto that purpose. And at that point, you had a choice, Lady Anne. You had a choice to do one out of two things: shrug it off and say, well, yes, you can say whatever you want to say. Your pain was just being, misunderstood and being in prison. But what did you feel like if your pain was actually physical?
Yeah.
You could have said that and
Yeah.
dismissed that
Yeah.
pearl of wisdom, right? Or
Yeah.
you could have done what you did, you know and
Yes.
and that is it. It's we the difference between the ones of us who finally find our purpose and make our mark and leave our legacy is the ones who see beyond where they are. Stop the navel gazing. Look outside of yourself and find your purpose and pursue it indefatigably. That is when you are a true champion. It has nothing to do with any amount of intellectual capacity. It's bravery, because you could have all the intellectual capacity in the world. If you do not have any bravery and
Yes.
resolve, and thank God, as I say, we go together, not at all. You also need the people that will help you, and that you had. And with that combination, you have not just sat on it, covered the can and sat on it, or pulled the ladder up and closed the shutter. You are bringing so many people with you. You are just absolutely incredible. Now we're heading into now the last stage. Now we have 6 minutes. I would like you, Lady Anne, to just tell the audience. You've told us a lot of things, but would you just have the last summation and just tell us if what it is out of all the things you've said that you would really like us to take away? If we forget everything else that one or two things that you would like us to take away.
All right, this will be coming off the top of my head because I've not thought about anything. I'm just going to
Yeah.
have to rehearse my life and think through my life.
Yes.
But if I'm to look at life and think, okay, and on the spot, give an advice, what would you tell your younger self?
Yes.
And I'll
Yes.
take this based on someone who's doing GCSE results coming out today. I
Wow.
would tell you never to look at life in a immediate now. Because
Oof.
a lot of us are going through mental pain today because we see a small pain and we focus our energy on that pain. We focus our energy on that bad relationship. But we need to start focusing our energy on what can I do to heal myself.
Mm.
Because this is an energy we've left behind. We focus on that thing that's really troubling us rather than putting the energy on what the solution should be to that pain point. And until we start navigating our mindset, okay, you do not have enough money. What can you do about it? What can you do to change that narrative? You did not get the grades. What can I do? I didn't get the grades, but the first thing I did was that I called universities. I started calling them immediately, saying who would take me. And I found ones that would take me. So when you go through things, don't focus so much on this. Your boyfriend broke up with you. What can you do to connect with other people who love you dearly? Your life is not just about one thing. Find meaning in your life through amplifying you, amplifying the good things in your life, and stop wasting time on that one thing that is drinking you. Even if you don't have money, sit back and think, what can I do? We can all do something. If I
Mm.
can change my life around,
Mm.
and I believe me, my life was not easy. I came from all kinds of struggle, but I made it in myself because I was so determined to not let that pain wear me down.
Mm.
I found ways to make it work.
Yes.
People might say, "Oh yeah, she found it's easy for her to say," but it wasn't easy. We've been attacked when we went to Nigeria by criminals. They shot at my father. We were
Oh,
all in the car. We've been through it all. But in those moments, what we've all learned is that you don't dwell on that pain. You find other things, and in
mm.
that moment, you will start finding the joy of life and you
Oh,
find your reason to live a happy, fulfilled life that would satisfy you. And at Painless, this is our mission, is that we want people to live in pain because we're all going to live in pain one
mm.
way or the other, but to find their joy in that moment.
Wow.
Organization, individual, communities, and government. We work with all of them to help them. There met some governments, their pain might be not being able to reach a certain community or not being able to deliver. We help them to get to that pinpoint where they need to be.
Mm. Listen, I am so inspired. And we have here Tess Akpeki, fellow chartered governance, and she's saying, thanks you both for being so awesome. What a gift. Thank you, Tess. I know there's so many people are going to be watching this afterwards, and it is. I if it just helps one person, this sometimes your message is just for one, sometimes more people or one at different times. But I'll never forget when I did my face-to-face ITV Wales interview, and I didn't think that anything would actually change anybody's life. And I got an Instagram message from somebody who I don't know, who said, I caught your thing. I don't normally watch it. And I was going to drop out of teachers college and I'm going to go back. I'm not going to drop out. Oh my God. I was like, this is why I do it. If it's even for that one person, you know,
Exactly.
that one person. Because listen, we are here for a short time, but what we leave behind can be here for a long time.
Absolutely. I agree.
Absolutely. I am oh, yes. So we're on the last minute now. Guys, what do I have to say? You know what I've got to say. Together we rise. We go together or not at all. Yes, mastering diversity. Come on, we're going to do this. The power of one. You are on it, says Tess. Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. See you in a bit.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Lady Ann Welsh. You are awesome. Awesome.
You are amazing. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
wow.
appreciate you.